right. What's up, my friends? Chrissy Crash here with Dame Gretzky. And if you are a roller derby skater that has suffered from injury or are currently in the middle of injury and you're trying to figure out how to get back to being a badass, then you are in the right place, my friend. Our mission today is really to help you understand how to bounce back, how to come back stronger than before. And, I think one of the things that happens for a lot of skaters, is we suffer physical pain during an injury, and then we kind of get scared to go back to derby because we don't want to get hurt again. And then that turns into like not training, and then it's hard to come back to training and you lose all your habits. And then before you know it, you're like, am I ever going to be a great skater again? Can I ever get back to where I was? So we are going to talk about this today. If you are watching the recording, by the way, you can go ahead and comment in the chat box with recording, and I will know that you hopped on the recording, and that way I can follow up with you and make sure that you get all of the support that you need, or any questions that you have answered, or any of that fun stuff. So here's what I want for you out of this. I want you to walk away clear on how it is that you can come back from injury, feel stronger than ever, get out of your head about it, and really just become an amazing skater again. Okay. And for those of you guys that actually don't know me, hi, I'm Chrissy Crash. I've been playing roller derby since 2006. In that time, I have won 3 consecutive championships with the LA Derby Dolls Tough Cookies. I played for Angel City Derby in 2014 when we finished 4th place in WFTDA. I've also played in several WFTDA championships. I now live down here in Costa Rica, where I play with an incredible team down here. So I have over, almost 20, almost 20 years of experience in roller derby and 15 years of experience in sports nutrition and performance coaching. And I've helped hundreds of skaters around the world, like reclaim their strength, become incredible athletes. And so my mission is to help you do the same. I know the ins and outs of what it is to be an athlete that has recovered from injury. I have gone through several of them, from totally I don't even think I fractured my spine, but I did something to my spine and was out for a really long time. I never thought I would play derby again. I was in so much pain. I also partially tore my MCL, and it was right before a really big championship, and it was tough. And so I'm going to share with you the 5 keys to recovery as a roller derby athlete. And then at the end, I promise I won't throw all this information at you and leave you on your own. Okay. So for those of you with questions, or maybe you want some additional support, I will share with you how Crash Course can help you do that, and really execute that in an effective way. So we're going to jump into it. But first, I want to introduce our special guest today, who is Kirsten Smythe, aka Dame Gretzky. She's a member of our Crash Course Athlete Development Program. Dame just finished phase 1, which is called Crash Course and Transformation, is moving on to phase 2, which is called Thrive. And I love Dame's story because Dame came back after injury and a major concussion, and through what we're going to teach you today is now stronger than ever. Just got MVP, right?
Yep. Yep.
MVP at first game back after injury.
Yeah.
And so it's really been this sort of bouncing back after, after this injury, of like the physical rehabilitation, the mental resilience, the strategic planning. So I'm excited for you to get to share, because you've just so recently gone through all of this.
Yeah.
So let's just jump into it. Well, first things first, can you share a little bit, name, how long you've been skating? Well, I heard you said your name, but how long you've been skating? What kind of happened through the injury situation? And yeah, let's start with that.
Yeah. So I skate with Steel City Roller Derby, and I've been skating for just over 2.5 years now. I was a COVID skater, so learned how to skate during COVID. So with my injury, I actually had 2 at the same time. So I had messed up my back. I had a pre-existing back injury, didn't treat it, got hit in practice, fell the wrong way, felt my back lock up, and I was like, I'm just gonna play through it. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine.
It's fine.
Laid on my back injury for a couple months, and then had a bunch of doctors say, you're never going to play derby again. You have a disc injury. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to take that as an option. So started going through PT. And then as I was coming back from my back, I actually slipped and hit my head. I fell on the sidewalk in the winter. And I got such a bad concussion, like I couldn't speak properly. I couldn't stand up without getting dizzy. I had to take 3 weeks off of work. Um, so I had to do a ton of PT, and the only way to bounce back from that was healthy eating, exercise, and doing the PT routines, even though they were awful. PT is not fun, but it's the only way back from recovery. And here I am 6 months later, and I'm stronger than I've ever been. I'm more confident on the track. So went from not being able to stand up straight to MVP in 6 months. So
Amazing.
exciting.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. And you've put in the work, and that's part of it too, is being willing to put in the work. And part of this first one, so key number one for those of you guys that are watching, if you want to write this down, is prioritizing your rehabilitation. And one of the key things we always tell any of our crash course members when they get injured is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And so for you, what was that like having to step back from training and really just focus on rehabilitation?
Yeah. So one, incredibly frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be on the track, you want to be playing, but the only way to recovery is to slow down and not do anything. So I took 3 months just doing one of the most annoying PT exercises. I literally had to just do towel slides. So I had to put my hands on the wall and just slide my arms up and down. So you go from a full contact sport to I'm sliding my arms on the wall, but that's what it took. So
Yeah.
I did that for several months, and then it was just showing up. I still continued to go to practice, to be with everybody, and to just mentally be there. But it really was just slowing down off skates, doing all the PT, everything the doctor said, and just building muscle back up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's it, right? The mental piece of I went from a full contact sport to now my job is to just sit here and do this. But you have to do it. Like what did you say to yourself to get yourself through that?
It really just was like this is just a building block. So
Yeah.
if I do my PT and I do my exercises, then I can go back on skates. If I can go back on
Hmm.
skates, I can play derby again. So I just took it as these like little blocks of like, okay, if I do this set of exercises for 2 weeks, then the PT is going to let me actually pick up weight again. And if I can pick up
Yeah.
weight, then I can be on skates at practice. And if I can be on skates, then I can work towards contact. So just
Hmm.
those little building blocks to get back to playing again were the only way to get through it.
Yeah. And I love that. And that's something we talk about in Crash Course all the time, right? Is you have these long goals, but if you feel overwhelmed by your goal, it means you're thinking too far ahead. So if you can't, like, if you're just finished getting a concussion, then thinking about getting back on the track is going to feel so overwhelming. But you did such a great job of chopping it down into, like, okay, what's the next smallest step that I need to take right now with that, like, long view of this is the goal that I want in the long run.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then number two tip, my friends, writing these down. Number two is focusing on nutrition and fitness. So what was that? I can't speak right now. Notice focusing on nutrition and recovery. So what was it like for you, nutrition wise? I know coming into KCAT, it was a little bit of a shift. Like, what did you learn that you feel like really helped you recover faster, become stronger, like get back on the track?
Yeah. So with my concussion, the doctors had said like the only two things that are going to fix your brain are nutrition and exercise. And
Yep.
exercise I understood, but with nutrition, it was amazing coming into KCIT, just understanding how to properly fuel my body. Like I
Mm-hmm.
knew, okay, don't eat processed foods and drink water and vegetables are good, but like getting your protein and hitting your carbs, like it really was within 2 weeks in KCIT that like my brain started working better, the mental fog went away. I didn't hit that 2 p.m. crash. It was amazing. Like correctly fueling just sped up my recovery so much.
Yeah, we really, especially with brain injuries, like we really don't take into account how important the way you feel your body is, and really with any injury, I clearly have a concussion today. With any injury, right? Because there's so much inflammation that happens through our body with the foods that we eat, that if we can really like clean that up and not like go crazy, right? Like it's not like you're eating like chicken, broccoli, brown rice every day,
No.
right? But like eating healthy food that's also delicious, it really does help to bring all that inflammation down, just gets the body working again.
Yeah. And for me, it wasn't even like I was eating horrible.
Right.
It was a big pivot in like, oh, I'm going to eat breakfast and I'm going to continue to fuel correctly throughout the whole day and not just
Mhm.
eat this huge dinner. That
Mhm.
had a huge impact too, just timing as well.
Yeah, and how much of that was just like we talk in Crash Course and Transformation a lot about like the pre-planning. Was so much of that just actually planning things out versus just winging it every
Yes,
day?
100%. I am such a creature of habit that until I have a plan and I have a routine, I'm never really going to do it. Like
Mhm.
breakfast is a great idea to me in theory. Like I was always like, I'm going to wake up early. I'm definitely going to cook a breakfast. Never did. Never did. Through KCIT, like meal prep Sunday, I'm going to have a plan. Then I don't have to think about it. Then I would just wake up and
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm eating. I'm grabbing my protein shake. I'm going. Like without that building block, I still, even if I don't like plan what snack I'm going to eat, it doesn't happen. It's still,
Yeah.
I don't make the plan. It doesn't happen at all.
Yep. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done, we like to say. And the funny thing is that's not complicated. Like, I'm sure most people watching and listening are like, well, yeah, like breakfast and eating throughout the day. But my question is, everyone watching, how many of you are actually freaking doing it? Because there is such a difference between knowing and being. And I think that's what catches a lot of people is because sometimes this stuff is so, yeah, 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 I know, that it's easy to just brush it off. But then once you actually are put in a position where like maybe you're paying for a coaching program and all of a sudden it's like, well, I've invested in this. I better do what they freaking say. All of a sudden, everything gets executed. And then you're like, oh, this actually makes a difference. It's not just a yeah, yeah, yeah thing.
Yeah, it's especially with the nutrition. I couldn't believe how fast. Like week one, by the end of week one, I was like, oh, I feel good. I feel that like I could notice a difference. And it wasn't like my
Yeah.
eating totally changed.
Mm-hmm.
It was just I was eating better.
Small shifts. Yep.
Yeah.
Now, number three for my friends taking notes is mental resilience. So, obviously, injuries can take a huge toll on confidence, right? And so, doing sort of like mental training or visualizations or like positive affirmations or doing actual mental work to build your confidence back is really, really important. So, what was that like for you? Like, what did that work look like to get you feeling confident on the track again?
Yeah. So again, I had to start really small. So I had to do this thing called vestibular physical therapy, which if you've ever done it, it's horrendous. You have to basically induce your symptoms because my concussion was connected to my fight or flight. So you had to induce symptoms, stop, induce symptoms, do it again. So basically, I had to do what made me dizzy until I couldn't do it anymore and then stop. So you're
Whoa.
just constantly in this grueling cycle of, well, if I don't do it, I'm not going to get better. But at the same time, I'm
Mhm.
doing this miserable training. I'm constantly dizzy, constantly nauseous. So for me, a lot of it was like, how much of a priority is this to me? Like, how
Mhm.
much do I want to get back on the track?
Yeah.
So for me, I kept going to practice. I kept showing up because I was like, listen, I want to see everyone getting better and I want to
Mm.
get that encouragement and I want to see, I know I want to be back on the track. I want to do the steps. I want to get there. And that really helped. It was really just like, do I want to give up or do I want to sit here and put the work in and watch everyone else kind of get better or just put myself on the sideline and not go back to it?
That's amazing. And how was it for you getting back on the track? Like, were you nervous? Were you like, okay, I'm ready? Like, were you in your head?
Um, I think I think both. So I had to go back, like with concussion protocol, you had to follow, just on skates. And
Yep.
for me, so much of it was related to motion. So if I turned around too fast, I'd actually get
Mhm.
dizzy. So
Mhm.
it was like, I'm so excited to be back. I'm so happy to be on skates. And then I try to do a transition and I'm like, I have never skated before. What is happening? So a lot of it was I was really excited, but I really had to go back to the building blocks of like, okay, we're gonna open, close, we're gonna do the little steps to get back. And then gradually it was just like, okay, I'm doing this. I'm not panicking. I can transition better. We're gonna do it a little faster. And it was just building it back up. So I wasn't panicking
Yeah.
about it anymore.
Yeah. And how about with the back? Like, was that a scary thing to get back on the track? Were you like so worried about hurting it again or?
A little bit. I think when I started doing contact, for
Mm,
me, it was definitely I had done the work before contact. So I had done the PT, I'd started working with you guys. So my back was actually so much stronger that the first time I did contact again, I was like, "Oh, I'm not in pain." Oh, this is what it feels like to block with a functioning back. This is amazing. Because
this
blocking
is
had always
great.
kind of hurt, and I was like, "Oh, this is just
Mm,
how derby is. Like I'm just always kind of in pain." But it's
yeah.
not supposed to be like that. So when I started
Hmm.
doing contact, I was like, oh, this is actually great. I love having a strong back.
Yeah. Well, and so this is the interesting thing, right? It's like the actual sort of confidence building came from the stuff that you were doing off the track. And so when
Mhm.
you came back, like you were less in your head because you'd already built trust with your body off the track. And
Yeah.
so coming back on me was so much easier. I was literally just talking about this. I had a new client interview today, and we were literally just talking about how like confidence comes from the things that you're doing. Like the things that you're
Mhm.
doing off the track build the confidence so that when you get on the track, the confidence is there because you know you've trained, your body feels strong. And so then you're just like ready to do the sport, you know?
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
brings us to number 4. For those of us taking notes, you can write down rebuild strength and conditioning gradually. But for the love of God, please cross train if you're injured. So for you, how was it like kind of going from doing sort of the PT to then stepping into crash course and having more like derby specific training? What was that like for you? What were you doing training wise before?
And nothing. So there are so many people in my league who are like, you gotta cross train, you gotta cross train. And I was like, Derby already sucks so much of my time away. Like, who has time to cross train? You do, you have time for it and you need to do it. So I went from no cross training injury. The PT helped build in that like 2 to 3 workouts. PT's a workout, but it's more just like I'm going to push on an exercise ball to engage my back muscles. And then I knew once PT was over, that's why I kind of joined KCIT because I was like, I know I feel better when I'm working out and I want to
Mhm.
keep improving my body. And with the cross training, it was amazing. Like what I can do with my feet now versus when I started KCA, it's crazy. I mean, if you had asked me 12 weeks ago to jump vertically, like it would have been like maybe 2 inches. I was not confident in it. And now I'm doing like box jumps and I'm doing them. I love doing them. So it's just so true. What you do off the track is directly related to what you can do on the track.
Yeah. And you had mentioned too that like kind of coming back and then like now your teammates are like, what's happened to you?
Yeah, I came back on the track and they were like, "How are you stronger post injury than you were before?" And I'm like, "Cause I was working out. Even when I wasn't on skates, I was working out, getting my back better, getting my derby stance better. Because your back's so related to how you can squat and bend over. So to be able and to move my hips correctly, like
Yep.
everything through cross training worked better. So I came back and I could do plows better. I was a little faster. So yeah, it was funny to come back on the track and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Cross training."
Crash course, it's
Yeah.
fine. Awesome. Okay, before we move on to number 5, I want to answer. Rachel has a question in the comments. So, do either of you use or have used a food tracking app to help learn about nutrition? So, this is a great question, Rachel. One of the things that we do inside of Crash Course is at minimum the first 16 weeks, we have people track their food. I think that tracking food is a very important learning tool. Later on in phase two, we teach intuitive eating, but I believe before anyone can eat intuitively, they need to know number one, what's in their food, and number two, what are their food habits. And a food tracking app is a really great way to do that. MyFitnessPal is a really great one. Inside of Crash Course, we have our own fitness app and it has a food tracker inside of it. So like the coaches can see what the clients are eating and stuff. But I think any food tracking app is super awesome. The key to using it is there's sort of two ways you can use a food tracking app. Number one is like, okay, every time I eat a bite of food, I'm going to log it into the app and like, oh, I had 3 baby carrots. Let me put those in. And then you sort of log as you go. I find that that way of logging tends to be a little more restrictive. Like when people are nervous about like, I don't want to get like crazy about my food tracking. I find that that way tends to be, Dame is nodding, tends to be really restrictive because you're like, oh, how many calories do I have left for the day? Like I better conserve them or whatever. And then also at the end of the day, you look at your macro splits and you're like, well, crap, I didn't get enough protein because you're just winging it throughout the day. In the beginning, that might be great if you just want to be aware of what you're eating. Now, the way we teach our clients to use a food tracking app is we actually use it as a pre-planning tool. So at the beginning of the week, like Dame said, you do your setup Sunday, which is what we teach. And one of the things that you do is as you're planning out your meals for the week, you actually just plug everything into MyFitnessPal or into the food tracking app. And we teach you guys how to do that. And then that way you can look at it before you even go grocery shopping, like, am I hitting enough protein if this is what I'm going to be eating each day? Am I getting enough calories, too many calories, etc.? So that way you know that like everything is already planned out for the week. Now, does life happen? Yeah. Do you have a rando like slice of pizza, cupcakes, impromptu dinner out? Totally. And then you just go in and switch that stuff out. But it's a very easy way to number one, hold yourself accountable to tracking and to planning, right? But then number two, it sets you up for the week so you're not guessing what you're eating. So Rachel, if you are going to track, I really recommend doing it the second way. Unless you just kind of want to be aware of what you're eating, then maybe just track your food manually for a couple of days and check it out. Like just don't try to change anything, just log what you eat and see what's there. And then you can kind of go from there. Do you have anything to add to that, Dame, or are you just like,
Yeah, if I don't pre-track food, then I'll notice like I'll do really great for breakfast. I might get my snack in, maybe lunch if I'm lucky, and then usually dinner does not make it into the tracker if I do it that way. It just doesn't
mhm.
happen.
Yeah, because it's so much extra time, right? To like
Yeah.
open it up, think about it. And this is something that we talk about a little bit in phase two, which is like managing burnout. And one of those things is task switching. So if you're eating and then having to log and then doing something else and then having to log, it's like that's how many times a day? If you ate 5 times a day, that's like minimum 5 task switches that you don't have to do. And so it's just those little things like to remember and then task switch. Oh my gosh, that alone makes me exhausted.
Yeah.
All right, for my friends taking notes, we're moving on to number 5. Rachel, hopefully that was helpful. Comment in the chat if it was. So moving on to number 5, staying connected to community. So you mentioned, continuing to go to practices. So what was it like to continue to stay connected to your community at practice? And then what was it like to have like the outside, like the Crash Course community to connect to as well?
Yeah. I think for practice, I don't know about other people's leagues, but I know a lot of people have this perception of like, if you're not on the track, then it's weird for you to be at practice. I did
Mm-hmm.
not have that experience at all. I started just observing and I started timing drills. Like, just there's
Nice.
so much for you to do at practice, even if it's just like mentally, I'm going to watch how are we doing starts? How are other people moving on the track? And you just got to see your friends. Like I was out of work for 3 weeks, so like I can only spend so much time with my family. you know, you need to get out of the house a little bit. So even just plugging in with that community and seeing people and talking with them was super helpful through the injury. And then with KCIT, they provide this wonderful community of like, hey, I had this win this week. And the win in KCIT is not always like this huge monumental thing. Like I always use this example of like the first time I could pick up the bag of dog food again. Like it, yes, it was like huge for me because I hadn't been able to do that. And those are the kinds of wins that you celebrate in KCIT. So you just,
Mhm.
the positivity, like you always feel like you're
Mhm.
doing something. And even if you show up and you're like, showing up is my win, everyone's like, you're here, you're doing it. That's a great job. So KCIT helped a lot, not to get too in my head. And I've seen a lot of skaters get really negative about their injury and they
Mm.
just get really down and they feel really disconnected and they just go to practice, find your people. It
Yep.
really, really helps.
Awesome. Awesome. And so for my friends that are listening, so just to recap, okay, 5 things when you're bouncing back from injury. Number one, prioritize your rehab. Okay, it is the stepping stone to you getting back to doing what you were doing. Number two, focusing on nutrition. Okay, so like Dame said, like it's crazy how fast shifting your nutrition is going to help you recover. Number three, mental resilience. Understand that the confidence that you're going to need to get on the track is going to come from all of the things that you're doing off the track. And as you learn to trust your body on the track, it's going to come back. Number four, rebuilding our strength and conditioning gradually. But for the love of God, please cross train. So that means doing your PT and then moving on to strengthening your body off the track before you come back. So not just, well, I did my PT and now I'm going back, because you're losing a lot of strength and endurance. And the last thing that you want is to go back and get injured. So the way that you come back stronger is ensuring that you have a plan in between PT and being on the track. And then the last one is just staying connected to the community. I love that you kept going to practices. I think that that's such an important thing to also then contribute, right? You might be not contributing on the track, but like blowing whistles, doing timers, like all of those things also help you remember that you're part of the team. And then also obviously the KCIT community having a place to like share wins that no one else is probably going to appreciate, but we're like, dog food,
Yeah.
yeah. So just as we wrap things up here, anything that you want to share about your experience in Crash Course, what it was like that we haven't already covered, of like coming back from injury, your experience in the Crash Course, any of that stuff?
I feel like I could talk about KCIT forever. I mean, it is just such a great program. I think you look at it from the outside and it seems like just a derby, like a fitness health program. It's not. It's really not. It's so much more than that. I mean, we haven't even touched on like outside of Derby, the things that improved. Like my routines are better. I get more done at work because I have all these steps and different tools in my tool belt now, and just I can function in life better and it's not such a chore to get groceries and like life is just easier. It's just
Yeah.
so much easier. And because you're not spending all this time mentally just trying to get through the day,
Mm-hmm.
you just feel better. Like my favorite compliment that I've gotten over the last 12 weeks is you just seem happier. You just seem like you're doing better. And I'm like, I am. Thank you.
So awesome. So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we're just so proud of you. And thank you for joining us. And for those of you guys that are listening, watching, I told you at the beginning of call that if you needed more help, I would show you what to do. So obviously you don't need me, right? You have the option to take what you've learned and you can do this. Like obviously this works. Dame is a perfect example of using these steps. Okay. And you can apply them on your own. You have all the info, or you can apply it to yourself and go faster. Okay. And that's what we do, is we help you go faster. So we have set aside some time this week with our strategy coach, Pam, and we would love to offer you a free strategy session. So we've set aside a few hours in our calendar for this week and next week for free strategy sessions. So I will put the link in the subject of this post, or if you're listening to the podcast version, I will put a link in the show notes where you can go and get a free strategy session. If you're listening to this sometime in the future and you see strategy sessions available on there, then there's one for you. So what we're going to do over that time is we'll set goals for the next 6 months, and then look at, where do you want to be? Like not just on the track, but off the track. And then we'll look at like what roadblocks are getting in the way of you really unleashing your most confident self and get really, really clear on what exactly you need to do to really move past the injury and level up. And then we'll set up like a 16-week roadmap for like implementing this stuff. So we have some times on there, check that out. And I just want to say, the most important thing is that you keep going, especially when it comes to injury. It can be so frustrating and it can feel so slow. But if you keep your eye on the prize and then you chunk things down to the next smallest step, what do I need to do today? What do I need to do right now? And if you keep doing that stuff over and over, not only are you going to recover from injury, but if you follow the steps that we laid out for you, you're going to absolutely smash it when you get on the track. So super excited to have you guys chat with Pam. Thank you, Dave Gretzky, for joining us. I know I said it the other day when we were talking about, I'm just so proud of you. It's been so incredible watching you just freaking unleash. And I'm so excited for our next year together and just to watch you. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when we do this podcast, this Facebook Live again a year from now. It's going to be incredible.
Great.
So thank you so much for joining us. And for everyone that's listening, just remember, life is a contact sport. She who touches the most lives wins. So if there's a friend that you have that's injured, that's struggling coming back from an injury, please share this podcast with them. Please invite them to the Facebook group so they can watch this recording, because we just want to help everyone in roller derby kick more ass at roller derby, because, let's be real, what else is there? All right, you guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later.